Beyoncé is truly a unique, once-in-a-lifetime entertainer. Despite being the textbook definition of a mainstream artist, everything Beyoncé does is against the industry's norm and expectations. Beyoncé is an artist who has always followed her gut, no matter what her contemporaries were doing. Many of the artistic decisions she has made concerning her bodies of work and how they are presented to the world have been out of the ordinary when going by industry standards, and while many have doubted her, it always works out in her favor. Take her debut album, Dangerously in Love. Beyoncé stated that when she presented her album to her label, they told her she didn't have a single hit on the album, which we now know wasn't true in the slightest.
I put my heart and my soul into writing my first album, Dangerously in Love. Dangerously in Love, Me, Myself, and I, Baby Boy, Naughty Girl, and my favorite song, Crazy in Love. And they told me I didn't have one hit on my album. I guess they were kind of right. I had 5.
Despite her label indirectly telling her that she needed to go back to the drawing board, she believed in her artistry and proved her label very wrong. On her sophomore album, B-Day, Beyoncé once again broke the norm by giving almost every song on the album its own music video, something the industry had not seen before. Many fail to realize that B-Day was technically Beyoncé's first visual album, not her self-titled 2013 album, and it could be argued that B-Day laid the foundation for what she would later do with self-titled and Lemonade. Beyoncé's fourth studio album, 4, released in 2011, was notably released at a time when pop and EDM absolutely dominated mainstream music. Despite this, Beyoncé desired to put out a body of work that was rooted in traditional R&B and soul. And while the album received lukewarm reception at the time of its release, nowadays the album is receiving its long overdue praise. Her self-titled 5th studio album and her 6th studio album, Lemonade, both broke barriers in music in many different ways, ranging from the surprise release of the former to the deep and heavy concepts of the latter, as well as the visual album format of both albums. And most recently, Renaissance speaks for itself, as the album has had little to no promotion and yet somehow has broken records and top charts all around the world. The point I'm trying to make is that Beyoncé is a musical juggernaut that defies all of the rules. Anything that Beyoncé does becomes the norm. She often takes the flack for doing things outside of the norm, but once she does it and succeeds, everyone follows suit without giving her due credit. Oftentimes, some of the most popular and groundbreaking performers are also the most shy and reserved. Artists like Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and Prince were known to be relatively reserved, reclusive, and soft-spoken individuals, but once they were on stage or in front of the camera, they turned into completely different personalities. It was like flipping a switch. Beyoncé is no different. Oftentimes we forget that entertainers are human beings and not the personalities that we see on stage. With her 3rd studio album, Beyoncé sought to bring both sides of herself to her music. She wanted to show her true self, her softer side, in her music, while also giving the world the fierce persona that they were used to seeing on stage. I'm a human being. I cry. I'm very passionate and sensitive. My feelings get hurt. I get scared and nervous like everyone else, and I wanted to show that about myself. It is about love. I'm a woman. I'm married. And this portion of my life is all in the album. It's a lot more personal. I'm very private and I don't talk about a lot of things. But there are certain songs that are on the album that are very personal. It's my diary. It's my story. I still have my album of fun songs. The latter persona took on a life of its own and became known as Sasha Fierce. I Am Sasha Fierce is Beyoncé's most underrated body of work in my opinion. It's her most pop-oriented album to date, and many use that fact as a point of criticism, but I believe the contrary. The Sasha Fierce era cemented Beyoncé as a global superstar in a way that hadn't been seen yet in her career. Like everything else in her career, Beyoncé took risks with this album in almost every way with tremendous payoff. The main theme of the album is dichotomy, exploring two sides of the woman that is Beyoncé Knowles Carter. The desire to share both sides of herself with the world ultimately led to the decision to make the album's format a double album. The first disc is I Am and contains slower and mid-tempo pop and R&B ballads meant to reflect the personal and true softer side of Beyoncé. There are absolute gems on this side of the album, criminally underrated and some of the best ballads Beyoncé has ever recorded. You've got classics like If I Were a Boy and Halo, as well as beautiful deep cuts like Disappear, Smash Into You, and That's Why You're Beautiful. Disc 2 is Sasha Fierce, which had the more up-tempo, traditional Beyoncé tracks that the world was used to. Here you'll find some of Beyoncé's most iconic and well-known hits like Single Ladies and Diva, as well as the criminally underrated Sweet Dreams, Videophone, and Ego. Even the singles run of I Am Sasha Fierce reflected the album's theme of duality. Boasting a whopping 9 singles, something unheard of for most modern pop albums, the album's singles were delivered in pairs, with one single being picked from each side of the album. While this was obviously an artistic choice to further push the overall theme of the album and era, it was also a clever way of pushing Beyoncé to 2 different markets and audiences at the same time. Often one single would appeal to the more adult, contemporary, and pop audience, while the other would appeal to the more quote-unquote urban markets. It was so smart, and I'm surprised more artists haven't attempted to duplicate this tactic. If I Were a Boy and Single Ladies Put a Ring on It were released as the 2 lead singles from the album, being released on October 8th and October 13th, 2008 respectively. At the time, the former was a departure from Beyoncé's previous releases, as it was not a traditional R&B song. Inspired by the strong expectations of her as a singer by the public, Beyoncé wanted to experiment with stronger lyrics and storytelling in her music. Thematically, the song highlights double standards in relationships and how things would be different if men had women's sense of vulnerability and empathy, and if women inflicted the same cruelties that men often inflict on them. It's such an interesting concept, and I adore this song for it. The lead single from the Sasha Fierce side of the album, Single Ladies Put a Ring on It, needs little to no introduction or explanation. Single Ladies is iconic and one of the most recognizable and well-known songs in music history. The song won an astonishing 3 Grammy Awards, was widely considered by many to be the best song of 2008 and one of the best songs of the 2000s decade. Being certified 4 times platinum, it was 2009's best-selling digital single, selling 6.1 million copies. The iconic music video is also widely regarded as being one of the best music videos of all time, despite its relative simplicity, and won several awards on its own. Many fail to realize that Single Ladies triggered the first major dance craze and viral moment of the new millennium and the internet age. The song soared to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, while If I Were a Boy peaked at number 3, giving Beyoncé 2 out of the 3 top spots on the chart. Diva and Halo were released as the next 2 singles from I Am Sasha Fierce, both being released on January 20th, 2009. Worthy of note, Ego was originally supposed to be released instead of Diva. However, for unknown reasons, the plan was scrapped and the label went with Diva. Boasting an infectious beat similar to Lil Wayne's 2008 hit song Amelie, Diva is one of Beyoncé's signature tracks. The song peaked at number 19 on the Billboard Hot 100. The iconic power ballad Halo became yet another signature song for Beyoncé and one of her most well-known. The song peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped Beyoncé achieve more top 10 singles on the chart than any other female artist during the 2000s decade. The videos for Diva and Halo premiered simultaneously, and Halo notably had 2 versions, the main version and a darker version, which was never officially released but surfaced online over a year after the song's initial release. The next 2 singles from the album somewhat broke the format established, as both of the songs came from the Sasha Fierce side of the album. Ego and Sweet Dreams served as the 5th and 6th singles from I Am Sasha Fierce, being released on May 19th and June 2nd, 2009 respectively. Broken Hearted Girl was originally supposed to be released alongside Ego, maintaining the pattern of releasing a single from each half of the album. However, it was replaced with Sweet Dreams at the last second. Ego was originally written for R&B singer Chrisette Michele, however she turned it down. The song was also the first single to be pulled from the deluxe edition of the album. Peaking at number 39, the song received a remix with Kanye West. Sweet Dreams is one of Beyoncé's most pop-oriented hits in her entire catalog and doesn't get nearly enough attention in my opinion. This song is pop perfection. Unfortunately, Beyoncé rarely performs it. The song peaked at number 10 on the Hot 100. Broken Hearted Girl and Video Phone were released as the 7th and 8th singles on August 28th and September 22nd, 2009 respectively. The former was notably written by R&B legend Babyface and is another one of the underrated ballads on the I Am half of the album. Video Phone, yet another underrated gem in Beyoncé's catalog, received a remix with the then up-and-coming Lady Gaga on November 17, 2009. The accompanying music video was noteworthy for its showcasing of a stripped-down Gaga, who at the time was known for her avant-garde and boundary-breaking high fashion. Beyoncé will return the favor by appearing on Gaga's smash hit Telephone the following year, which served as the second single from her extended play, The Fame Monster. Why Don't You Love Me was released as the 9th and final single from I Am Sasha Fierce on July 11, 2010, almost 2 years after the album's initial release. Originally released as a pre-order bonus track, the song was released on the album's Platinum Edition. Another one of my favorites from Beyoncé, the song is often forgotten when talking about her catalog. Its theme and the retro aesthetic of the video feel more at home on her follow-up album 4, and perhaps played a part in inspiring that album's direction. Beyoncé's promotion of I Am Sasha Fierce was off the charts. This woman was literally everywhere during this era. If there was any justification as to why she hardly promotes anymore, this era could be used as a reason. Although she doesn't have to promote nowadays anyways because she's freaking Beyoncé. Counting just the televised performances in support of the album, this woman appeared a whopping 20 times between 2008 and 2010, which for reference is more than the self-titled Lemonade and Renaissance eras combined. She was everywhere from the Grammys to the VMAs to Oprah to the Tyra Banks show and more. She would embark on the I Am World Tour on March 26, 2009 and will continue to tour until the final show on February 18, 2010, performing an astonishing 104 shows in total. She would also perform a special intimate concert residency titled I Am Yours in Las Vegas. I Am Sasha Fierce debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, earning Beyoncé her third consecutive number 1 album at the time. The album has sold over 10 million copies to date, making it one of the best-selling albums of the 21st century. It has also garnered over 1 billion streams. The album garnered a whopping 7 nominations at the 52nd Grammy Awards, winning 6 out of the 7, a record for most awards won in one night by a female artist. In addition to Grammys, the album also garnered American Music Awards, Soul Train Music Awards, BET Awards, European Music Awards, and far more. It is notably her second most awarded era, not album, there's a difference, only behind Lemonade. Sasha Fierce was the 10th best-selling album of 2008 and the second best-selling album of 2009. I Am Sasha Fierce is a very special album to me and a vital part of Beyoncé's discography. Sure, in a post-self-titled Lemonade and Renaissance world, it's easy to write this album off as being forgettable, but both it and its era actually did a lot to benefit Beyoncé's exposure to audiences who perhaps wouldn't have listened to her otherwise. Sasha Fierce is responsible for giving Beyoncé some of her biggest hits of her entire career and was proof that Beyoncé as an artist is comfortable in both R&B and pop spaces. I've been a Beyoncé fan my entire life, but experiencing this era in particular was truly a treat, as I can remember feeling her becoming even bigger than she already was. And looking back, it's even more satisfying knowing that she would only become more legendary since then. Hey friends, thank you so much for making it this far if you did make it this far. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing and checking out some of my other videos. I love pop music, I love video games, I love anime. I just love to talk about things that I love to talk about. My name is Wayne and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I love you all.